This tutorial covers the creation of a simple countermark. This is a countermark that functions in a very similar way to a QR code. It creates an image that can be printed on a document or on an object, and that image can then be scanned by using the Countermark app on a smartphone. When the countermark is then scanned and recognized, the user is directed toward a web address where they can find additional information such as images, video, text. The first action is to give the countermark a reference. This reference should be a piece of information that's meaningful to you, and it will allow you to search for countermarks later. So when you have tens or perhaps even hundreds of countermarks, you can find the countermark that you're looking for. Insert your reference in this field. After adding the reference, the next step is to input the web address that this countermark will be associated with. Choose URL from the options displayed. Then input or copy and paste the web address. The next step is to go to the middle section of the Countermark setup form. Here there are a list of options, most of which are not required for a simple countermark. However, unlike a QR code, all countermarks are time-locked. That is, you define for how long they are valid. You set this under time-locked. The time limit can be defined in days, weeks, months, or years. In this case, we'll set a 12-week limit on the validity of this countermark. So I will choose weeks, and then from the next drop down choose 12. This is all that's required for a simple countermark. You set the reference, which is optional but useful. You define the target for the countermark, in this case a web address, and you set the time lock, which is for how long this countermark is valid. Let's now create the countermark. Come across to Generate Countermark and press the button. The countermark has now been created. To use the countermark, you have two options. You can either copy and paste, so right click, copy the image and paste it into a document as required. There is a separate tutorial that covers inserting countermarks into documents. Alternatively, you can right click and save the image as a file. This completes the creation of a simple countermark.